Welcome to Be Make Do, a Soul Makers podcast, where we explore art making and creativity from a place of deeper calling and encourage you to become who you were created to be, make what you were created to make, and do what you were created to do.
That's right. And in this season, we're talking about motivation, success, and fulfillment by exploring the 6 artist archetypes, which include the maker, the mystic, the imaginative visionary, the storyteller, the soul healer, and the prophetic critic.
Ooh, they all sound really interesting.
They do.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can find out which of the archetypes you are by taking this neat little quiz that we created to help us explore and become really conscious of what motivates and excites you to make what you were created to make. Because even though creatives have some similarities, we are all very different in our unique gifts and talents, but especially in why we do what we do, why we make what we make. So this quiz, this tool, is all about helping us to start thinking about what motivates us, what drives us, so that we can think about our career path, our life in the arts from the perspective of fulfilling that calling and fulfilling the deeper things in us, and hopefully avoid getting caught in traps around striving for some idea of success or a career that might not really fit you. So in addition to exploring those archetypes, we're also going to be talking with creatives about how their unique motivations help them overcome challenges and find sometimes unconventional paths to a fulfilling life in the arts.
And if you're not sure which artist archetype you are, go ahead and go to www.soulmakers.org/quiz and find out. In our previous episode, we explored the storyteller, which was really interesting and eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
We looked at the motivations, the challenges, and what's necessary to thrive. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, please go back and definitely do that when you get a chance.
Yeah. So in this episode, we are going to be talking with Tami Dixon, who's the co-artistic director of Bricolage Theater Company in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Tami's archetype is the storyteller, and so I'm really looking forward to hearing from her on all of this. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So Tami Dixon is an actor, playwright, producer, and co-artistic director of Bricolage Theater Company in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Originally from Cleveland, Ohio, she graduated from Carnegie Mellon University and lived and worked in New York City before moving to Pittsburgh and becoming an important fixture of the city's arts scene. Tami and I attended CMU together, and even though until very recently we hadn't talked, in however many years that might have been, I've been a huge fan of your work from afar. I love your non-traditional devised theater work, your community-oriented focus, and just your commitment to the greater cultural life of the city. So, I mean, Tami is an incredible actor and a really warm and generous person. And I just thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Lisa, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be asked to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been a fan. So Tami, tell me about Bricolage and your work as a playwright and just a little bit about how you develop your work or what you're working on.
Yeah, bricolage is a word that means making artful use of what's at hand. And so my partner and I, Jeffrey Carpenter, Jeffrey started the company in 2002 was their first show. 2001, the company formed. I came on board in 2005. And most of the work they were doing before I came on board was original plays in site-specific places. I came on board and we found a home and started to think about how we were going to survive as theater makers, how we were going to last, what our meaning was going to be on the landscape. And, you know, I went to acting school. I spent 10 years in New York. I know nothing about administration or running anything. I could barely send out headshots when we had to do that, And, so I was sort of thrown right into the fire. And I read this book called Mission-Based Management. And one of the things that stuck with me was list 10 reasons why you are different from like companies. So 10 reasons why we're different from the other theater companies that were already in Pittsburgh. And we could barely name 3. I mean, we were a young company, but to think about 10 really inspired us and was the impulse for us beginning to think outside of the box. And it began our journey to start thinking about our relationship with the audience. I always like to say, without an audience, you're just rehearsing. And I love rehearsal, but rehearsal doesn't pay the bills. You can't just rehearse all day. I would love nothing more than to wake up in the morning and go right into a rehearsal and start messing around with people and do improv games and have fun and lay around and, dream about work. But you need the audience there for everything, for the connection, for the feedback, for the energy. I think in this age of where we're on our devices, where we're connected, where we're able to make content at the touch of our thumbprints, there is a longing for a deeper connection to the work that we see. And so immersive work for us started the relationship being much deeper, asking our audience to be uncomfortable, perhaps, to not just be an anonymous, homogenous sort of audience, but be an individual with their individual feelings and individual opinions and their entire life experience, bringing that to bear on an encounter that they might have by themselves with another artist. And that encounter would be unique to that artist and that audience member because there's no one else in the world like that artist and that audience member coming together in this encounter that we have set up so that something happens. And I often say, I don't really care about what that something is that happens. I just care that something happens. Like if you leave the theater or leave the whatever space we're in the exact same, then we have failed. But if you leave kind of mad, that's okay because something has happened. If you leave full of joy, awesome. If you leave more curious, if you leave with something having opened up in you, maybe something you haven't thought about in a while, maybe a triggered something. I don't necessarily think triggering is a bad word because if it's being triggered, it means it wants to come out. It wants to get out of you. It's like the poison that's in you. You got to get that out. And if something allows that to come to the surface, good, so it can be you can get rid of it, and that's, that sort of cleansing that I think a cathartic artistic experience brings to all of us, the artist and the audience, is why I do it. It was the original cathartic experience I had when I was in 4th grade and saw my first professional theater piece and was blown away by everything, but most of all, that adults were pretending. Adults were having fun. They were playing. Most of the adults in my life as a child were so serious and fearful and trying their best to survive this world. When that's the mentality, there's not a lot of room for play. So when I saw adults for the first time on stage saying lines, being other people, showing their emotions, like having cathartic experiences, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. How do I get up on that stage? Let me up there right now.
I think that's so incredible. And I'm resonating with so much of what you're saying. And I think at this time, like you're talking about, living on screens. And I really thought about that in the pandemic, especially when everyone was so isolated. I wondered, what will this do to live performance as well? Like, will there be even more of a need for what you're putting out there on offer, which is you're actually stepping into something live that you can't control, and is more vulnerable and is more evocative on so many levels.
I mean, that's why you have to be a very present, aware, and compassionate type of artist to do this work, because it's not about the actor as much. It's about the actor in the moment, but it's not about the ego of the actor, because these actors don't get applause after.
Yeah.
The experience happens, that audience member moves on, that participant moves on, another person comes in. So it's not for public viewing. It's not for the bow. It's not for the ego. It's for something much greater. It's for something holy. It's for something spiritual. And if you're not into that, then this is not the work for you.
Right.
What happens between the actor and the participant is so special, and it's for them. I've been an actor in these pieces, and there's nothing like it. It is high wire work.
Yeah.
And it's not always going to go the way you want it to go, and it might fall flat. But so is life. We don't wake up in the morning with a script next to our nightstand and then we perform that day. The point is, the actor has a beginning, middle, and end of the encounter. And the hope is they navigate, in an organic way through those touch points, getting to the end of this perhaps 4-5 minute experience.
Yeah. And
something has transpired between two people. So you're not the only requirement we really has is don't come drunk. don't come high. Like be
able to be present.
You are. Be who you are, and that will make your experience so much better. You will be open to whatever you're wanting to receive at that moment.
Yeah.
But it really is up to the two people that are there, the artist and the audience, and those positions interchange, because sometimes the artist that we have hired becomes the audience member for the participant, who turns into an artist in the moment by expressing whatever is touched and moves through them in that experience.
Yeah. I feel the passion that you're speaking with about the work that you do. And that kind of takes us into our motivations thing. Like, we're talking about this archetype quiz that we created that just, it's designed for fun, but the idea is to turn us on to thinking about the things that really motivate us to create, especially when you're in a place in your life, in your career, where you're trying to decide what that looks like. What does success mean for you? Or what does fulfillment, or what can a career look like for you? Because I think so many people get automatically stuck in, just like you go to LA and you become a star. That's it. It's either that or not. And that's not true at all.
Yeah.
And understanding what motivates you, what gets you excited and turns you on is one of the biggest keys to figuring out, okay, what does this life look like for me? Because as an artist, it can look so many different ways. So I know when you took the quiz, thank you very much. And when you did, you scored, I think your highest was the storyteller. And then I think there was like prophetic critic or imaginative visionary is the secondary one or something like that. But that's basically, I think, the storyteller. It makes sense for somebody who does theater and does what you do. Like, you have this ability to see different pieces and see things in a different way, and want to help other people see things in a different way and have a different experience, and, kind of believe in that, the power of what that artistic experience can do. Like, does that resonate for you? Did
Oh,
that
yeah.
score?
I mean, I was 80% storyteller and then 20% something else. And then I always focus on what I'm not, right? I mean, I was zero in the other ones. I'm like, why am
Well,
I
that's
not
not
some
true. Yeah.
magical mystic person?
There's
You
probably
know,
a mystic piece in you.
well, not on that quiz, but like you always want what you don't have, and then you get what you think you want, and then you don't want that, or else you want more. I mean, it's nothing.
Right.
It's never enough. And I, you know, to to know the big why we're here, why we do this, what motivates us is such a challenging question because, the and I'm older now, and yeah, when I was younger, I wanted to be famous. I thought that was going to be the answer to all my problems.
Right.
When I'm famous, all these other things will line up, and
Right.
really all the my insides will feel right finally, because I was searching for, externally what only can happen internally, and I don't know if a 20-year-old, without life experience would know that.
Right.
Would even think along those lines. I wasn't thinking along those lines. I was thinking about more and get and work and, whatever I need to do to get where I think I need to be that's going to make me feel okay.
Right.
And then I get to my dream job or the thing that I think is going to catapult me to the next level. And it's not all that I imagined. It's nothing that I imagined. It doesn't do the job because it's not that's not the job it's supposed to do. All that was supposed to do is give me life experience, teach me what I need to know. But when I was younger, I wasn't interested in learning lessons. I was just interested in getting what was mine,
Right.
what I thought was mine, right? And as I'm older and I'm thinking still about, I don't know if I actually step out into the world and think about the why before I do it. I'm just sort of along for the ride, what am I supposed to do today?
Yeah.
And can I be present enough to do that? And can I stop resisting the flow of life in order to get what I think I need? I've spent years trying to get what I think I need, and it was never enough, and it was never what I needed. And so now I'm practicing to get out of the way of the flow and just, float and come what may, and not, strive, it's not that I don't try. It's not that I don't work. It just feels to me at this old age that what I actually want is peace inside.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come in a relationship. And that doesn't come with my name in the paper.
Right.
And that doesn't come in an Amazon box,
Yeah.
It doesn't come in a bottle,
Yeah.
It doesn't come from all the places I was seeking it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to figure out where it comes from. And the more I can be in the presence of the moment, the more I realize it's not something to seek. It's just something to relax into, yeah. I feel like if there's anything I could tell a young person, it's just to know that they're okay.
Yeah.
That it'll be okay. And that everything that happens, if you let it, is there to teach you something. And if you could remove shame and judgment and guilt from the lesson learning, what you will have is the keys to the kingdom. And then you can move forward in your life in joy and not in the pain of the ego forcing you to do things that you shouldn't be doing or can't do, to try and fit into a type or into an idea of success.
Yeah.
Nothing about my life right now would I at 20 be like, that's what I feel like success and joy. Not nothing. I mean, I feel thankful for all the gifts that I've been given. But, you know, I was thinking about this. For most of my life, I didn't think about what I'd been given as what I'm here to do on earth. And I think I'm here to be a storyteller. That's what I think. That's what I've always loved to do. And it's what I've wanted to do. And the through line of all of that is play.
Yeah.
You know, for all of my life, what's the purpose? What motivates me? It's not changing the world that motivates me. That is like, I don't have the power for that. But in my joy, and my joy comes from playing, I can have some effect on the world, some positive influence on the world. I don't know. I'm probably like rambling and going off.
No, not at all. No, I love it. Yeah. And I mean, how does that kind of play into how you decide what projects you're going to take on, or, you know, whether you're going to audition for this role, or you're going to work on this play, or you're going to partner with these people? Like, has that changed over time, how you kind of make decisions for what you're?
Yes, absolutely. Back in the day, I would say yes to everything because I was afraid to say no. Because if I said no, then I wouldn't get the chance again. Like, this is my only opportunity. The window is this small. Like, I was living in such scarcity around everything. Like, there's not enough money. There's not enough time. There's not enough love, you know, which is not true. But if you live in that world, then that is true, right? So I was living in that world. And I was saying yes to everything, getting so burned out, doing things that weren't mine to do, forcing myself into situations and places that I didn't belong. I was there because there was something for me to learn, right? But hard. Those are hard lessons, harsh lessons, you know. And, you know, motivation was all based in ego.
Right.
What's going to get me, you know, more attention? You know, my unending need for attention is so exhausting. I don't know if you're allowed to curse on this podcast.
Go for it.
But I'm trying not to. It's so fucking exhausting. My unending need for attention. You know, I'm trying to like work back from that and ask myself, what am I lacking? Like, why don't I value myself as I am? Why am I seeking the external, you know, glory from people and the outside? Why don't I already feel that? You know, what's going on in here that I don't already feel that? And that's the work, right? Because if I felt that, then I would enter the world in a space where I didn't need you. And not that I don't need you, because we need each other, but I'm not requiring you to play a role in my life. I'm not assigning you a script and a character to play in my life. And when you do it well, I'm happy. And when you don't do it well, I'm upset. You know, that's taking hostages, you know, that's not relationship, right? So enough living like that, exhausting myself, you know, burning out, then rejecting the industry. And let me just say, like, you know, after a while, you live in a small town like I live in, and you know, it's such a catch-22, like, you know, after a while, I don't have to audition for things because I have a reputation, right? But then I start feeling like a fraud because I'm handed things and I don't have to do the work. And then so I'm carrying around this fraud feeling that I'm going to be found out, that I'm not really who you think I am, and I don't deserve to be here. So then I'm working extra hard. It's just ridiculous, you know? And then when I have to audition, I'm like, how dare you? Do you know who I am? You know?
Do you know who I am?
Right? Like, it's so insidious, this ego, right? And then, you know, we live and die on the reviews. Like, we're publicly reviewed by people. You know, like, I am like paper thin. You know, you blow me over with a feather, right? Like, I'll fight you, but don't look at me sideways, you know, like, it's like this dichotomy that I carry. And that's because I'm still relying, you know, for a long time was still relying on other people's opinions to value me, to give me my sense of value. And when you're reviewed in the paper, I mean, it's hard to not be hurt by a negative review. It's so hard, and then so you don't want to have, you just, I didn't grow in resilience from that. I didn't get to be Teflon, and I don't want to be Teflon anyway, but I wasn't able to say, oh, that is one person's opinion who happens to have the public pulpit. I wasn't able to exist in that. And I still am not good at that. So then I don't perform at all. I just don't, instead of working on the thing, which is my own relationship with my ego and my own relationship with the world, I decide I'm going to cut off the very thing that I feel like I'm born to do. And that brings me the most joy, So then I get harder and, it just builds it calcifies my heart, and it just doesn't, then the play is no longer a part of my life.
Right.
Right. And so that happened. And, you get older and you let go of things and you change and it's let go or be dragged. Right. And,
ooh, that's a good one.
you have a bottom, you reach a bottom maybe, and your bottom can get lower, but if you're Rumi has a poem about the light comes in through the wound, right? And if you're wounded enough and you're all out of fight, there is a moment where you can let go.
Yeah.
And stop fighting and allow the light to come in through the wound and shine on a different path.
Yeah.
So, I began a relationship again with acting because a couple of years ago I was asked to audition for something and my first thought was nope. Because I went right to getting a bad review and I didn't know how to handle it. I couldn't handle it. And then I thought, whoa, I don't want to live my life like that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want my ego to dictate, my existence. And so I prayed to help me to find my joy again in this.
Yeah. And
to uncover, the beating heart of this purpose that I think I'm here for.
Yeah.
And so,
and you're doing this from a place of success. You're very successful within your theater career, the producing and you're doing a lot, but then there's this other piece that but what I mean is you're not doing this from a place of, I'm not doing anything in my artistic life.
True.
Yeah. On paper. Exactly. Yeah. You're following these, on paper, everything looks great.
Right.
But there's a piece of you that's not, but it's not that deeper thing that you're longing for.
Yeah. It's not eternal. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's not love.
Yeah.
It's all based on ego. And that, that's running on my own power. And I don't have enough power, for all those years. It's just exhausting.
Yeah, it's really freeing when you can just kind of say, you know what, I'm not enough. Okay, and I don't have to be. I don't need to be.
Yes, surrender to win. Surrender to win.
Yeah.
And my ego at 20 could not get with that.
Yeah.
Surrender was weakness. Praying was weakness. Relying on a power greater than myself, weakness.
Right.
I couldn't get with it because I came from scarcity and I knew what it felt like to have the rug pulled out from under me. And I knew what it was like to beg. And I didn't want to beg.
Yeah.
I'd be damned if I'm going to beg. I'm going to fight. So it became this fight, and it was just exhausting. And so, I am working from a place of, on paper, the resume looks good, of course, it's not enough for me,
Right.
But people who are just starting out or maybe haven't had that kind of success would look at me and be like, what are you complaining about, girl? And this is what I mean, all of that pomp, all of that outside, it's not real. What really is real is here. And in here, I was suffering. And so I just decided I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to allow fear to tell me what to do or what not to do. And so I thought the first step was like, let me just read the script to see if it's something I want to do. Let me have let me be informed before I make
Right.
an opinion without any information, just based on fear, right? So I got informed and I read the script and I was like, oh my God, I love this play. And this is my play. I'm definitely going to do this play. And so I just said, yes, I will audition. And then I started praying, how can I have this experience of preparing for this audition where it's joyful, where I'm not doing it like, get it right, memorize everything and do the right thing. Like I just was like, can I have fun? Yeah. I just want to have fun. And I prepared and it was fun. And I was reminded of being in 4th grade and seeing that play. And then being, I went to performing arts high school from 4th to 12th grade. I spent all that time playing.
Yeah.
And I remembered that space of where you can try something and it not work and you can get back into the outside of the circle and, it's okay. And then go back in and try again, where it's not life or death.
Right.
I made these, decisions about what life meant solely based on a fear of not doing it right.
Yeah.
And I hated that. And I just didn't want that anymore. And so I went into this audition and I was so happy. And I had texted a group of girls that I have a relationship with. And I just said, I'm about to do something that I haven't done in 10 years. And I'm really scared, but I'm really excited. And I just want to tell you that because if it doesn't go well, I'm going to be okay. And I'm going to be grateful for this experience. And I want you to see that it's not about the result. It's about the process.
Yeah.
And if the process is no fun, the result's going to suck. If the process is fun, it doesn't matter what the result is.
Right.
So the process was so fun. I didn't care about the result. I just cared about this writer is a great writer. She wrote some amazing words. I'm going to say them to the best of my ability with all that I have, collected over my life. I'm going to give it all. And then I'm going to leave and go get lunch. And after that, I got a call and I got the job. And I thought, wow, this is how I want to do this from now on. And that choice opened up the next 2 years of opportunities for me because I allowed myself to do something that I was afraid to do. And I approached it with joy. And all these things started happening that I didn't have to fight for, that I didn't have to work for, that I didn't even have to ask for. They just showed up because I had gotten out of the way.
Right.
I wasn't blocking the flow with my fighting and my opinions and my needs.
Yeah.
I was out of the way, and whatever is supposed to be mine, I can't stop it from being mine.
Yeah.
And if it's not supposed to be mine, it won't be. And it's not that every audition since then I haven't. But every audition that I haven't gotten, I've understood.
Yeah.
In a way that I couldn't when I was 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, decades. I couldn't understand for decades. I took it very personally. I was harmed by the rejection.
Right.
And I can't afford to be harmed by other people's opinions of me. I can't. I don't want it. It's not mine. Yeah. So, that sort of approach, joyful, spiritually connected approach to whatever's supposed to be mine will be, whatever's not supposed to be mine won't be. Acceptance of that has really altered my perception on life.
Yeah.
And the way I handle life.
Yeah.
And I think, wow, I wish I would have known this at 20. But here's the thing. maybe somebody did tell me, Lisa, and I was too egotistical or stubborn or fearful to hear it. You hear it when you hear it. You hear it when you're supposed to. And I wasn't supposed to hear it at 20 because you know what? I think if I had gotten famous at 20, not that I'm famous now, but then I would have died out there.
Mm-hmm.
I would have died out there. You know, it's a rough space, you know, and spiritually bankrupt is not a way to enter into that kind of chaos.
Right.
If you are not grounded in something bigger than yourself, whatever that is, you're going to be kicked around, tossed around, beat up. And if you're like me, stubborn, you're going to keep getting back in the ring bloodied. Without having learned anything but fight harder next time. And that's not the answer.
Yeah. I think there's something, you used the word, or you said, I can't afford to be wounded by this anymore. And I think there's something to that. It's like where you reach that point where you realize, I can't afford this anymore. Like I'm running out. I just literally, it is a life and death thing to say, I've got to die. This piece of me, this ego thing has just got to die. Like I can't do it anymore. And maybe especially for stubborn, fighters. And I resonate with that, it's like, I can just, if I try harder, I'll be able to overcome. I'll do this, whatever, that it just takes that, those lessons to get you to a place of really, and then being able to really enjoy it when you are able to just say, I release it. I can enjoy this. And I think there's a little bit of permission there that it's okay for me to just enjoy this. What I love to do. Like that's reason enough. It's because I love it.
I think, when I was younger, I was afraid of the quiet. I was afraid of stopping because I just had the wrong idea about life, that I've got this one chance. We're only afforded one chance and I've got to go, like I had it all wrong. There was no ease. There was no joy. There was no peace in my life. Perhaps that's a product of youth. I don't know if it has to be though, but maybe that's the only way.
Experiences.
We do. And we all come from different environments, and, but I do think that is part of being young, to fight. And then get over the fight.
Right. The blessing of getting over the fight.
And realizing, what did the fight really get me?
Right.
It got me more fights. It got me more exhausted. It's not like I didn't have successes directly related to those fights. I did, and I wouldn't take those back, but like it's not a recipe for long-term.
Right.
It's not, it doesn't teach resilience because it batters you too much to keep you malleable. You're just going to be, wounded. And those wounds are going to be the thing you present with. And that's harsh. That's a harsh relationship with the world.
Well, how do you kind of protect this wisdom that you've gained? How do you stay grounded in this and not get sucked back into the old stuff, which is always ready to take you back whenever you want?
I was told that you can't keep what you don't give away. So I ask, what am I supposed to do today to be of service to the day I'm going to have? And where can I be useful? And coming out of myself is the only way I've learned that I'm going to be unbound from that bondage of self. So I have to work with people I have to help people. I have to, and it's not like, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. So I'm sober, and I've been sober for almost 8 years. And part of my sobriety is what was freely given to me, I have to give to other people. Mm-hmm. This is the only way that I'm going to keep my peace. Yeah. If I go back to self-centered fear, I'm doomed. Yeah. I might not drink again or do drugs again, but I'm going to be wrapped in self, and I'm going to be miserable, and those things are going to look really good to me, eventually. So I owe in this community, and when somebody reaches out for help, I have to be there. Mm. And that reminds me of where I was, of how painful that was, of how easy it is to go back there, and that there is a solution if I'm willing to be rigorously honest and looking at life through the lens of what role am I playing in this? So, my life became super small because I could point out in every direction how all these people did me wrong, how the world did me wrong, and the cards I was dealt, and blah, 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 whatever. And it made my world so, so, so small. Yeah. When I started turning that finger back towards me, what role am I playing in this ancient wound, this thing that actually happened to me that was not good? Yeah. Or things that not good. But happened 30 years ago. How am I still carrying that around and making it the lens through which I look at the world? So I've got to look at my part in it, even if my part, even if it just, I really want to be like, it's you. You're the jerk. Because it's not like I'm the only jerk and everyone else is fine, right? It's that I can't unjerk you. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my job. For me. Yeah. It's not my responsibility, and it can't happen. Yeah. Yeah. Because I can't, I'm just like other people are not responsible for me. Yeah. I cannot make somebody responsible for my happiness because they're going to let me down because it's not their job. And I can't keep blaming somebody for something they did 35, 40, 50 years ago, because it's over, and I've got to drop it. I've got to stop carrying it around, and I've got to let go of it. And maybe that means forgiveness. For me, that is freedom. Mm. It's not always something you can ask of people, and I get it. For me, it's freedom. Yeah. So I keep it because I practice every day the principles in all my affairs, because I don't want to go back. Yeah. I don't want to go back to self-seeking, self-centered, fear-based, 1,000 forms of fears. I want to be free. I want to be free. Does that mean I'm going to be famous? No. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Do I still hold that light? Sure, of course. Do I want to be the oldest cast member ever cast on Saturday Night Live? Yes.
You would be great on Saturday Night Live.
I think so too. But, of course the dreams are, I want my dreams to be alive. Does it mean that I'm going to, I should crumble if that doesn't come true? If I should be ashamed at all if that doesn't come true?
Yeah, right.
And no. Does it mean I shouldn't have the dream? No, I should. It's my attachment to the outcome that harms me. Yeah. Dream all you want. Yeah. Do whatever you want. Don't be attached to the outcome. Yeah. And you might be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of a framework that I've been kind of working with in my own life, in my own head about, I was always the star of my story, right? I was the star, and there was a camera from very, very early on, just like filming my life. Yes, because it's so interesting. And feeling like I was in the hero role, and I've got to make it happen to such a degree that it was just too much. And for me, kind of realizing, no, this isn't actually like, this is God's story, and we're all supporting cast, like to be not in the lead role, but in the supporting role of this bigger story than just my life was really, really freeing, because it gave me the permission to play. Like I don't have to take on all the pressure of being the star, and everybody is not that I relate to is not relating to me as a supporting character in my life, in my story. We're all part of a story that is bigger than any one of us. And that to me resonates a lot with the kinds of things that you're saying. Just this release of ego to be like, we're just here to improv. Like, life is improvisation, right? And you can do it well or not well. But it has a lot to do with your attitude as to how you engage people and the things that come your way.
I got this very incredible opportunity to study with Keith Johnstone.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to Denmark to study with him. And, he was planting seeds in me that I would not truly grasp or understand until now.
Yeah.
But one thing I learned there was again, he has this exercise called again, that when you start the work, you make an offer, nobody responds to that offer. No audience member wants to see you go, God,
right.
Get upset. What they want is permission to laugh at the thing. So you've got to give it to them. So you go again, you start all over again. You never get hung up on something that didn't work. You start all over again. You allow the audience to laugh at the attempt that didn't work. Give them permission, laugh at yourself, and then go back in there and try something different. Don't get closed off, shut down, angry at yourself, filled with shame, and then, upset with the audience, right? Nobody wants to see that. No audience member is going to pay for that or be really comfortable coming back to watch you. What they want to see is your ability to transform. And, that's it. Like, it's all, we always like, oh, it's not about crying. It's about trying not to cry. That's what's interesting. We don't want to see you cry. We want to see you try not to cry. That's acting, right? Well, I think, for life, I do think we're the stars of our show, but I'm not the writer and the director as well. I can't be all of it. So I'm going to let the higher power write this thing. Yeah. And I'm going to be the actor who is performing and encountering things that come my way.
Yeah.
And if I start directing, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
If I start rewriting, ugh.
Right.
Nobody wants that. Like, the actor needs a director and a writer.
Yeah.
They can't see the whole picture. So stay in the lane, enjoy the lane, have fun in the lane, be the best star of your own show ever, just like you should be doing and that person should be doing, and that,
right.
Do that well, but get out of the way of directing and rewriting.
Yeah.
Just be open, just play, play.
Well, so I want to close this conversation by asking you a final question from that. So thinking about the storyteller, or just what motivates you, what does it feel like for you when you've created something or you're a part of something that just fits right in the center of everything that just lights you up, that motivates you to create? Like, describe what that is, what that looks like, and what that feels like for you.
So I got an opportunity earlier this year to do a rewrite of a show I created 10 years ago. And this was a show where I interviewed my neighbors, people in my neighborhood. I transcribed those interviews. I synthesized those interviews and built them into a one-person show where I played like 30 people And it was a kind of love letter to my community.
Wow.
And the first time I did it, I was in active addiction. And so it was well received, but it was very challenging for me because I lived and died on what people thought.
Right.
And I was super exhausted by the whole thing. And, you know, I was on the cover of the local paper and I got great reviews and they brought it back the next year. And then it ended and I was empty. Because of course something can't continue on forever. You can't you know, we don't, with the trajectory is not up forever, you know, we gotta, it's the waves, you know, we can't stop the waves. We have to learn how to surf. Right. But I'm just like, get that 100-foot wave and ride it forever.
Right.
So I got the opportunity to do this show again and rewrite it, do a whole rewrite sober. And this experience, here's what I can say about what it feels like to do that. It feels like this. I don't want to use the word nothing, but it feels right. Yeah. I didn't care what anyone thought. I interviewed all those people out of a love and an attempt to listen and to turn back towards the community what I heard, to give the stories away, to offer them and to present them without my attachment to what it meant for me. I did 42 shows in like 5 weeks.
Wow.
And I was so thankful the whole time. And I didn't feel low and I didn't feel high. I felt right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what that feels like to me when I'm just kind of in the middle. And I'm not better or worse. I'm just the vehicle in that moment for something bigger than me. And and this is what I was going to say before. I mistook my abilities when I was younger for things that I did. And now I can see that this has nothing to do with me. That every one of us is given something to offer to the world as our own. Yeah. And when we can touch that, we are not in need of attention. We are not in need of accolades. We are not in need of more money. We have everything we need. We are just doing what's ours to do. And it feels right. I didn't long for anything. I didn't want for anything. Everything worked out. Yeah. I wasn't complaining about anything. That's not true. I might have been like, where's the audience? Damn it. You know, because theaters are having trouble getting people back into seats, you know. Yeah. My ego is still involved in my life. I don't want to feel like, you know, tell the story that I'm egoless. I'm certainly not. It's the battle of my life every day. But when I am plugged in to a greater source, I don't have to run on fumes. Yeah. And I'm given all I need, and I can feel protected and safe and have faith. Yeah. That everything that transpires is what's supposed to transpire. And like, it doesn't feel like winning anything or losing anything. It just feels like,
wow. You're giving me chills and tears and all that other good stuff. It's so good. Thank you, Tami, for talking. you are a storyteller. You really are a storyteller. I feel like I've just had wonderful stories told to me, but you have so much wisdom that you've gained from the experiences that you have. And I know that audiences are really grateful for your work. And I'm really grateful that you're out there doing what you're doing. And this has just been really a wonderful conversation. And I know that it will be meaningful to our listeners as well. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for making this platform and for reaching out to me. It's been 30 years. And how strange to not talk to someone for 30 years, but then reconnect and go, oh, right.
Yeah.
We shared this thing and that lasts. Yeah. And that makes us connected forever.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful thing.
It is beautiful.
For you to offer this to me. So thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Aw. This has been a great conversation, and I just thank you. I'm looking forward to sharing it.
I appreciate you. Thanks.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time when we explore the maker archetype.
Thanks for listening to Be Make Do, a Soulmakers podcast. All links and resources are located in our show notes. Want to know your artist archetype? Take the quiz at soulmakers.org/quiz.